Welcome to the Daily Pulse, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Jaime White. This is the show where woke goes to cry. Hear ye, all rise. I am the fake Honorable Jaime White. This is my courtroom, and what I say goes. Because sometimes I am always right. Now, it's been a while since I've been here. A few things have happened since I've been here. Let's talk about maybe the Fani Willis hearing. Interesting. Donald Trump, Georgia. Remember when I told you last year when Fani Willis came out and indicted Donald Trump, and she said, I guarantee you within 3 months he's gone to trial. And I came out here and I told you, never going to happen. It's never going to happen in 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months. Okay? I've got something to say about this whole Fani Willis, Nathan Wade fiasco that's going on. But before I get to that, I want to talk about the primary last night. It was an amazing primary, wasn't it? Joe Biden swept all 15 primaries. And only one state did the no vote almost catch up to him. I mean, I think that's pretty good. And was that not an amazing speech he gave? I got to tell you, Joe Biden's speech last night made me so glad that he's president. I mean, truly. I mean, it was an unbelievable, excuse me? What? He didn't give a speech? What did he do? It was an email? He gave a great email. He sent out an email like you cannot believe. It was the best email ever sent in this country's history. I mean, and he should know, he wrote the email for George Washington. So, I mean, it was an email? Really? Was it signed by a Saudi prince? Oh, good Lord. An email. So he couldn't even, I guess it was past his bedtime. Well, he is president. You know, I can't expect him to stay up to past 11 a.m. on primary day. Okay, wow. No speech. All right. So now it's Biden versus Trump. On one hand, you got a gentleman who's been indicted 91 times. On the other hand, you got a gentleman who's incompetent to stand trial. Oh, praise our country. We are in for an amazing presidential year, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Now, granted, with Donald Trump, 89 of the 91 charges are from statutes either from the Civil War or 1910. I mean, they really had to dig deep to get, these charges against Trump. But I've told you that before. Actually, in two of the charges against him, the indictments, the racketeering, those are fairly new statutes. So, but that's in Georgia. Fani Willis. We'll get to Fani Willis, not yet. But so Donald Trump won 14 of the 15 states last night. Wonderful. We knew this was going to happen. It should happen, okay? He's the only guy that can get this country back on its feet. And yet, Nikki Haley refused to bow out until today. She finally bowed out, but she still could not endorse Donald Trump. She said she wouldn't run against Donald Trump, but she did. And now she says that Donald Trump has to earn her supporters. Because she's got about 30% of people, independents, that say they will never vote for Donald Trump. It's never going to happen. So what are they going to do? They're going to vote for Joe Biden? I mean, look at this guy. Now, remember, Joe Biden's a guy, let's see, Donald Trump's been indicted on documents, right? That he's president, that he's allowed to have. Joe Biden, as a senator, took documents out of a SCIF. definitely not allowed to have, and had to figure out a way to steal these documents because they were in a skiff. But in the Hur report, they said he said he was too old, couldn't even remember when he was vice president, literally could not remember when he was vice president. Wasn't too long ago, Joe. And said he's too feeble to stand trial. So basically what he's saying is Joe Biden is incompetent to stand trial. But he's not incompetent to be president of the United States. Wow. Okay. Let's get away from that incompetence. Let's talk about another form of incompetence. MSNBC. Last night during the primaries, they had a panel of 6, 7 people around, and they were mocking the fact that immigration is the #1 priority on people who are voting for Trump on the top of their minds. They were laughing. They said, you know, Virginia's priority is immigration? Really? Well, yeah, they are a border with West Virginia. They thought that was funny. Because, you know, there's no criminal immigrants coming into West Virginia or Virginia. You know, pretty much that tells me they're laughing at the 14-year-old girl who was raped, allegedly, by a Venezuelan illegal immigrant. Not newcomers. I know that the Biden administration wants to call them newcomers. They're either illegal immigrants or criminal aliens, because everyone who crosses the border is breaking the law of the United States. Told that to Gloria Allred once. She did not like it. Too bad. But that's a fact. So this 14-year-old girl was raped, and it's alleged that this Venezuelan illegal immigrant who came over in December of 2023 did it, and it was vicious. And then, of course, what about Lincoln Riley in Georgia, who the president has yet to even mention her name? She was brutally and violently murdered. She was raped. This guy that allegedly raped and murdered her has a wife, has a child, and just came over here in 2022. But that's not it. He committed a couple other crimes, including a shoplifting crime in Georgia. And yet nothing happened. When did the protection of American citizens cease to exist? I want to know that. We know, even though every illegal immigrant that comes over here is a criminal just by the fact they're here illegally, most of them are not going to go out committing crimes and murders and whatnot. We know that. But the fact is, we don't know who we're letting into our country. We have now over 25,000 that we can count Chinese males between the ages of 18 and 28 coming across our borders. And if that's not bad, it was just found out that, you know how coyotes bring people over to America? Because everybody wants to live in America. Well, I tell you what, apparently now the United States has become a coyote. So apparently, if you go and you're out of this country, doesn't matter what country you're in, you could be in China, you could be in Yemen, Syria, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. You go on an app called a CBP app, right? If you can pay for your ticket, the United States will fly you here, will fly you to our country. And even though you're illegal, they'll bring you in. They'll help you break the laws of our country. And they won't even tell you the 43 airports they're bringing everybody in. Right or wrong? You decide. Right or wrong? Not right and left, right or wrong. All right. Now we're going to get back to Fannie Willis. Fannie. No, not that Fannie. That's a nice Fannie. You save that for me later, but no, not that Fannie. This Fannie. No. Okay. That's an ass. I see where you got the similarity from, but not the Fannie I'm looking for. So let's try this again. Fannie Willis, Nathan Wade, two star-crossed lovers who are prosecuting Donald J. Trump. So it turns out Terrence Bradley, who's a former law partner of Nathan Wade, sent all these texts to Ashley Merchant, who's one of the attorneys for one of the co-defendants in the Georgia trials. Okay? And these texts talk about how Fannie hired Nathan to investigate Donald Trump, which is perfectly fine. Paid him $750,000, perfectly fine. What's not perfectly fine, she was doing him in 2019. She was doing him in 2020. She was doing him in 2021. And when she hired him, she was doing him in, I think it was November of 22. Okay? Apparently, they went on a lot of trips together. They went to Belize, the Bahamas, this, that, and the other thing. And there are no records. There's not one record because they only use cash. And so if Nathan would buy Fannie a trip, Fannie always paid Nathan Wade back in cash. So this is the hearing that was going on. Then they brought in Fannie Willis's dad. Okay, I mean, her dad is a former Black Panther. He left the Black Panther after many years, but he's a former Black Panther. So this is the mentality that Fannie Willis was brought up in. Can you imagine if, let's say, I don't know, Nikki Haley, who was running for president before she bowed out today and didn't endorse Donald Trump. Can you imagine if she was raised by, I don't know, David Duke of the Ku Klux Klan? I mean, I've already linked Joe Biden to the Ku Klux Klan, okay, through that very nice man they call Mr. Bird. But can you imagine that? I mean, I think there'd be a problem there if she, you know, her mentality might be skewed just a little bit. If you grow up in a household, I know, I grew up with a father. I love him to death. He was a great man, but he was a bit racist. And I would call him on it. We had a lot of fights. I loved my dad to death. You know, God rest his soul, he's dead now. But he had the Archie Bunker in him. Okay? I always said I wish Sammy Davis Jr. could have kissed my dad on the cheek. But this guy, his name is John C. Floyd. I like to call him Grady from Sanford and Son. Okay, if you put a picture of Grady and John C. Floyd together, I dare you to tell me which one is which. I dare you. He says, oh, I told Fannie, I said, listen, baby, I said, you got to have 6 months cash in the house. Always got to have 6 months cash in the house. It's a black thing, he said. He said, it's a black thing. I know a few black people. I know a few people of many races. No one knows about that. I mean, if you want cash in the house, I mean, it's nice that they told the world that Fannie has cash in her house now, because there may be some people out there looking to break in. I mean, I don't think that was a very wise thing to say, but hey, he's the pop. Pops know best, right? So that's, wow. So anyway, the hearing's going on, and she's saying that everyone's lying, there is no conflict of interest, that, she shouldn't be removed, Nathan Wade shouldn't be removed. She came to the hearing a while back, you all saw this, and she wasn't even supposed to be there. She was fighting, testifying, and then all of a sudden she just showed up out of the blue, and boy was she pissed. She was running that courtroom, and that judge like nobody's business. Now, everyone seems to think that she's going to be thrown off. Her and Nathan Wade are going to be let go as prosecutors, which means they'd have to get new prosecutors, and those prosecutors can decide whether Donald Trump gets tried or not. So it starts all over again. I personally don't think, okay? I think personally, because the judge was a big donor, not only to Joe Biden, but to Fannie Willis. He donated to her campaign. So I think there could be a little bit of conflict of interest there. But I want to lead into my apology to Democrats. The Supreme Court. The other day, the Supreme Court came down with a 9-0 decision that Trump must not be taken off any ballot. I personally thought that Trump would be allowed to be on every ballot, but I thought the decision would be 6-3. And so for that Supreme Court, to the Democrats on the Supreme Court, I apologize. I truly, truly apologize. This decision wasn't about Donald Trump. This decision was about the future of our country. Because let's put it this way. Let's say they came back and they said, Donald Trump, you can kick him off the ballot. So right after that decision comes out, 12 states knock Donald Trump off the ballot. Then Republicans come around, and for whatever reason, they're going to take Joe Biden off the ballot. 4, 5, or 6 states decide for the entire country who's our president. And not only that, I mean, it's not just now. What about 4 years from now, 8 years from now, 20 years from now? Every time there is a political candidate running for office, if the other side is fearful of them, if they are afraid they will win, they will come up with some reason to kick them off the ballot. So thank God. There's another big decision coming up, the immunity. Does President Trump have immunity? In my opinion, he does. Now, most legal experts say he's not going to win this case. I pray they're wrong. I pray they're wrong. Because once again, the future of our country is at stake here. Okay? And if you, as a president, do not have immunity, then you can be had at any single time during your presidency. That means you're going to be making decisions with the specter of criminal prosecution hanging over your head for every single decision you make, whether you are Republican or Democrat or independent, purple, green, doesn't matter. Think about that. How do you run a country? How could you run a business like that? How could you have a household like that? This immunity needs to go Donald Trump's way. Now, if it does go Donald Trump's way, every single indictment except 4 go away. They're gone. The 4 you'd have to worry about is in New York City, the hush money. New York City is the biggest problem if the Supreme Court rules in Donald Trump's favor on immunity. But let me tell you, if they do not rule in Donald Trump's favor, then it doesn't matter what party you're in, who you are as president, you will always have that specter hanging over your head. Jamie Raskin, I like to call him Jamie Askin, said that this is a fight for democracy. He's a Democrat. And he said there has got to be a way to stop Donald Trump from running. We cannot allow Donald Trump to run. So he's presenting a bill about insurrection. Remember, Donald Trump never charged with insurrection. So therefore, he's never been convicted of insurrection. So insurrection doesn't have any... This is a word the Democrats made up. It was a strange word at the time to make it up, and now we know why. There was an MSNBC or CNN, I forget who it was, when the decision came down from the Supreme Court. She said, unfortunately, the Supreme Court followed the Constitution. Are you kidding me? Unfortunately, they followed the Constitution? Seriously? You know, I like to have fun in this show, but this is serious stuff. Now, let me see. So to protect democracy, you have to suppress democracy. You have to suppress the right of people to vote for who they want to vote. If this was going on about Joe Biden and some Republican was trying to take him off the ballot, I would be defending Joe Biden. The people have a right to vote or not vote for who they want or don't want. End of discussion. And if anybody, all these Democrats out there, you know, in 8 months we're going to have an election. Mark my words. In the next 8 months, we know this is the Democrat playbook. All Republican, all white males are racist. Okay? They hate transgender people. They hate women. They're going to be the most evil people on the face of this planet. But I think they're going to add some plays to this playbook. See, my last show, I did some predictions. I promise you, Donald Trump will be arrested. He will be thrown in jail. They're going to stop him at any... Raskin is putting together a bill to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. It's a symbolic bill because Democrats don't have the House. Doesn't matter to him. Let's waste the taxpayer money. But they are serious. They are going to do whatever they can to keep Donald Trump off the ballot and to keep you, the American voter, from having the choice to vote for either Joe Biden or Donald Trump. If that's not wrong, I don't know what is. Now I'm going to wrap up this show because something's been bugging me for the last 6 months, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of race being interjected by the left, mainly by white people. Every time they do a story, they have to point out a person's race. Black, Hispanic. We see what's going on with Israel and Gaza. We see how they're going after the Jewish people. It's ridiculous. This day and age, you think it's the Holocaust. No. I mean, they're saying that Jews don't have a right to defend themselves. Are you kidding me? Until we stop distinguishing people by color and race, there can be no equality. Period. There can be no equality. We have to stop pointing out a person's race. We're supposed to be one people, one country. We're a diverse country, yes, and that's a great thing. But if you want true equality, That means praise. It doesn't matter what race you are. Criticism, it shouldn't matter what race you are. You should be allowed to do both. And right now, we can't. You can't criticize someone who is not white. Because every time you do, you are a racist. You can't criticize someone who is a woman. Because if you do, you are a sexist. You can't criticize a transgender person because you're transgender phobic. This has got to stop. We are far too along in this country now. When we elected Obama, I didn't vote for Obama, you all know that, but I have to say it was, believe it or not, one of the proudest moments in my life to watch on TV a black man being sworn in as President of the United States. I didn't like him because he was black. I didn't like him because of his policies. That's true equality. There are many white people I don't like. It's because of their policies, not because they're white. Let's get to equality. Let's get to equality. We deserve that. As a country, we deserve that. This court is adjourned. Remember, this is going to be a violent year. We're done.